Okay, so we are going to look at vertical asymptotes right now. We are just going to identify what our vertical asymptotes are, and I'm going to show you this general start to beginning to graph these rational functions. So what vertical asymptotes are, it's where your function does not exist for your x values. So what x values that you may plug into this function will result in undefined. And so how we figure this out is I know that if I divide by 0, that I am going to get undefined. And so a vertical asymptote is a x value that when you plug in, you get undefined for your y. So what I want to look at, I want to look at my denominator. And I want to know when that equals 0. And I'm going to use that to figure out what the vertical asymptotes are. So where this equals 0 will give me my x values for the vertical asymptote. So where does x squared plus x minus 2 equal 0? Well, we would need to factor. So x plus 2, x minus 1 equal to 0. And that gives me x equals negative 2 and x equals 1. So your vertical asymptotes are x equals negative 2 and x equals 1. So if you were asked for the equations of your vertical asymptote, that is what you would give, because remember, a horizontal line is an x equals equation. And your vertical asymptotes are going to be a vertical line, not a horizontal. So if you were to start to graph this, rational function, what would happen is at negative 2, we would have this dotted vertical line, this vertical asymptote. So when we plug in x equals negative 2, we do not get a y value in return. We get undefined. And then same thing with x equals 1. We are going to have this dotted line showing that there's no y values for that x value. And to keep in mind, when you begin to graph this, just like with the polynomial graphs, you want to look at the multiplicities of your factors. So notice that this was odd degree for your factors. So it was multiplicity of 1. What that is going to tell you when you begin to graph this is that around the vertical asymptote, you are going to be going in opposite directions. So you're either going to have one side of the vertical asymptote going to negative infinity and the other going to positive infinity, or the other way around, where this side will be going to positive infinity and this side will be going to negative infinity. If it was even degree, they would be going in the same directions. So instead of this situation, if it was even degree, so if it was x plus 2 squared, then you could be having that type of situation or this type of situation. So keep that in mind for when we begin graphing. But for right now, all we're looking for is our vertical asymptotes, and that answer is this right here. X equals negative 2 and x equals 1.